What's up, YouTube? We got a yo-yo review to do today. This is the original content designed by the R Throwers subreddit, but powered by G Squared Yoyos. Alright guys, let's get into it a little bit. So you're gonna ask me, how much original content can you get out of the original content? This is like the third time I've mentioned it and the third-ish video about it. See what I did there? Original content. Anyway, so this is gonna be the full-on review of the OC original content by G Squared Yoyos and the R Throwers subreddit. Sucker weighs in at 65 grams, has a 54.06 millimeter diameter. I measured it. Close, about 54-ish millimeter diameter, and I'll show you in a sec why I know that. And it is about 46 millimeters wide, just a hair short of 46 millimeters wide, making it a relatively wide yo-yo, and does have the G19 pads, which of course are excellent. R Throwers and G Squared OC is pretty similar size, shape, and diameter to a yo-yo that I am super fond of, the 2.6 Seraph. Now the Seraph is different. The O shape in the OC is a little more round, like it comes out a little more, and the step is a little larger on the Seraph, but you'll notice that the diameters of the yo-yo are almost identical, and the width is also almost identical. The OC is a hair wider, not quite a millimeter, about a half a millimeter wider than the 2.6 Seraph is. They weigh the same though at 65 grams, and the real difference is, and the difference in playability, in my opinion, really comes in how the cups are constructed. This cup goes much deeper, and instead of having a flat hub, it has this little sharp like nipple that points up, and the nipple is sharp enough to like get some talon grinds on if you can get there, because it's kind of deep in the cup, but that's there for the axle. So you have less center weight because the axle kind of comes up a little bit here, and there's more weight pushed to the rims, although the weights are very similar. There's more weight pushed to the rims on the OC, making the OC kind of feel more powerful and faster. However, the 2.6 Seraph is still kind of floaty, maybe a little bit more maneuverable, might be the best way to put it, because it's got a little bit more center weight, but they're sort of the yin and yang of similar yo-yos. This is sort of more flowy and techy. This will kind of push you a little bit faster and be a little better for your speed combos. So let's compare it to a couple other yo-yos that have maybe been around for a while. I know these two both just came out. You haven't touched this yet, and maybe you haven't touched this yet because it just came out to order like last Friday, so maybe yours just showed up. But it's a pretty similar shape and design to the One Drop Prescription. Prescription's maybe a hair wider, but very similar in diameter, and overall shape is pretty similar. This kind of has a steeper sort of step and a swoop, whereas this is just sort of, it merges a little bit more. This is a little more, I guess, H, if you want to put it that way, than this. This is more like O, stop, swoop out. This sort of kind of plays like a wider, more competition-driven One Drop 54 would. Like if you were to stretch out the One Drop 54, that's kind of how that's kind of how this plays and feels sort of on the string. It's not a great comparison, but it's a very similar comparison. And as you can tell, like I said, 54 millimeters, they line up. Do you see? Do you see? Yeah, you could see. And, you know, similar cup there as well, but, you know, like if you were to stretch this out, that's sort of what you'd end up with, I guess. In my opinion, you know, it's all opinion. But that's probably enough about me rambling on about it. Let's go throw it around. I'll show you what it can do. All right, guys, we are back with the OC, the original content. And, just gotta say, man, you guys designed a nice yo-yo. I spent all of last Saturday over at G2 Jake's house, the G2 HQ, helping to test these bad boys out. And, man, did you guys put together a nice yo-yo. So, let's kind of get into the very nitty-gritty of it, the sort of superficial things. The grind finish is great. It's got that real powdery grind finish that you find on the 2.6 stuff or the CLYW stuff. Great grind finish, and finish is similar overall to all of the different colorways. The finish kind of felt the same on all of them. I did get the chance to touch about 150 of them, so I would know. So grind finish is great. Feels very, very good. Thumb grind lip exists, and I don't have any fingernails. It's kind of smaller, but you could definitely do it. Hold on. Thumb grinds, totally doable, totally good. The lip is not as huge, but definitely a doable thing. One of the coolest things about this yo-yo, and this is basically how I was testing it, grind, talon grind, and that's how I was sort of testing them for vibe, in addition to, you know, the fingernail test and what have you. As far as that's concerned, these babies are dead smooth. And I actually already pulled the bearing in mine. The bearing seats weren't super duper tight, which was kind of good. And I put a new bearing in mine because I like the center tracks better than the centering bearings, the one with the grooved bearings. But it's still 10 out of 10 smooth. So very impressed with that. And even though it's got this little nipple in there, it's definitely finger spinnable, and that nice matted powdery finish goes all the way into the cup and everything, so it's not shiny or sticky in there at all. So if you throw it on an angle a little bit, you still get really good finger spins, even if you miss the bind. Let's do that again just to show you that I can get the bind. But there we go. Still really nice even for that, which is always good. As far as, like I said, sort of speedier stuff goes, it's got a lot of rim weight, so it really kind of wants to go. In addition to it being kind of wide with a sort of smaller diameter, it's really nice because it doesn't get in your way because it's not like bulky over here, but it's wide enough that it's pretty easy to catch on the string, except that time. And just overall, you guys really, I guess I helped too. I participated, but the R Throwers subreddit really helped design a nice yo-yo. And definitely something everybody's going to enjoy. I know there's going to be a few extras left over, so if you get the chance to pick one up, because there's some extras, or maybe there'll be some B grades, although there weren't too many, I would say do it, because this is a super fun yo-yo. And I don't know what the final cost is, 60, 65 bucks, something like that, but solid price for a super solid, good yo-yo. But let's go ahead and throw it back on the desk. We'll do pros and cons, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back on the desk with the original content. Pull this baby apart. I'll show you what the insides look like, because it's my yo-yo. You want to see, right? The machining is pretty good. Gets tight at the end, but unscrews pretty smoothly otherwise. So this shop certainly does a nice job. I don't know where this was machined in China. It was machined in China. This shop certainly does a nice job. And I touched enough of them, I ought to know. As you can see, very sort of organic shape. It really just kind of doesn't pull any punches as far as the organicness is concerned. Just sort of has a little swoop step. It's nothing. It's very smooth between the cup here, the like organic swoop down, and then it kind of just swoops out, but it's all very rounded over, so the string doesn't get caught or stuck anywhere. You're not going to be able to see it, but this is a thing that I really like, because One Drop does this, is before the step, the blasting sort of stops, so it doesn't eat your strings, and I really like that. That's a thing One Drop does that I really like, and whatever machine shop did this, they did that too. And I really like that. It's a really nice additional sort of quality piece. And they did a really nice job with this. This is machined really, really well. The splash, in my opinion, is the one that looked the best. Just in my humble opinion. I rolled the dice. I wasn't sure. But it's kind of green and purple on black. And man, does that look good. That is just a good looking splash. I can't say enough good things about it. Kind of wish the green was a little bit of a darker green, but I think it's an acid wash green, so it looks good. It looks really good. Big fan of how this splash turned out. In my opinion, and I saw all the ones other than that mystery fade that hasn't showed up yet, this I think is the one that turned out the best, but the fades look really good too. The guts of it there. Let's do pros and cons. All right, so pros of this bad boy are, again, like I've been talking about with most yo-yos that I've touched, or a lot of yo-yos that I've touched lately, fantastic grind finish. Nice, powder, smooth, great. Excellent for grinds, great for grinds. Grind finish goes all the way into the cup. Big enough cup to do pretty good finger spins on it. You saw me do those. No problem. Easy peasy. And there's that kind of nice little cut to ride around on the finger spin. If you get your nail in there, and you can get some pretty decent finger spins out of it, even though there was really no finger spin consideration put into the design. It really does a nice job. The spikes are nice as well. If you can get the Talon grinds or the Matador stuff on them, very cool. Nice and sharp. My fingers aren't quite long enough to do it this way. There we go. See? Nice and sharp. Very good. Very reminiscent of what the sort of spike on the Banshee is, or how sharp that is. So if you're familiar with how sharp the spike on the Banshee is, or the Elite, it's a similar sort of spike and design there with that. Very nice as well. It's also machined very well. It just kind of looks like a pointy Hershey Kiss. So, very cool. Not noticing any machining marks or anything like that. It's a good, clean yo-yo overall, and most of them were. We found a few with ano flaws. The splashes all came out really good. I think the only B-grade splash that we came up with was just a B-grade for ano flaws, and the yo-yo itself was still dead smooth. And actually, I think it would ended up being like there was an ano flaw on one half, and then there was an ano flaw on the other half. So we switched those halves and put together one A grade from those two halves, and then the B grade that had the two halves with ano flaws for the splash was also dead smooth. When we threw it, it was like 10 out of 10, perfect. And that was like, I think that was the one Josh switched his mystery fade, and I think that was the one he ended up picking up, was that ano flawed splash one, which again it played perfectly. It just had little teeny tiny ano flaws that actually looked kind of cool, but they were ano flaws. They just were. So very cool design, very good yo-yo overall. I guess those are all pros, really. I mean, no real cons to speak of. I mean, this was clearly a community designed yo-yo. Organic shapes are pretty popular, and this one is very comfy to catch. This is nice and kind of rounded over. You would think it's a little sharp. It is not. Very comfy on the catch, comfy on the grinds. Very just nice overall. A little plain for my tastes in the cup. I kind of wish there was like a little cut. See how this has like a little cut there? Just for like aesthetics, and then maybe to remove a little bit of a surface area on the grind. But the finish is so good that sort of doesn't even matter. On the splashes, this underside here is a touch sharp. The other ones aren't really like that. The splashes were all sort of a little sharp there, but it's not a big deal. Like, it's not sharp like it's going to cut you. It's just sharper than the non-splash ones. So take that for whatever. I don't know if that's a con or not. Doesn't bother me at all. I actually kind of really like it. So there's that. To me, it just looks very clean and straight cut, but it's a little sharper on the splashes than it is on the other one. The only real downside is one of the mystery fades kind of had a decent amount of B grades. I know that Jake and PJ were doing half swaps and stuff with those, trying to get as many good ones out of there as they possibly could. It looks like they made enough. They got enough to fill all the orders, so there shouldn't be any issues with that. But there's going to be a couple of B grades, or I don't know, there might even be some trash grades, unfortunately, in one of the mystery fade splashes. I think I maybe played one or two that were just like, okay, this one's pretty bad. But most of them are pretty good, so hopefully The ones that didn't make it through as A grades to fill the list will be listed at some point as B grades because most of them were really, really good, just they weren't up to this level of, like, smoothness like the rest of them were. So we didn't really want to, like, you know, put a bunch through that were going to sort of screw the people that ended up getting that one fade as opposed to the other one, and getting one fade have a couple vibey yo-yos in it while the other ones were just, like, super solid, dead smooth. So I'm not sure how that ended up. I think good news overall based on Jake's vlog the other day, but, you know, I'm not the final verdict on that. He is. So, you know, again, guys, awesome yo-yo, really cool design. It was also really fun to help design. It was really fun to help test and stuff and go out and hang out with Jake and PJ and Josh and Toilet Circle Jenkins and Grant and Jake. I already said Jake. And Steph is cool. Got to meet Jonah. What a cool little dude. And got to pet Ace. Super fun. So, the OC, the original content, powered by G Squared, designed by the R Throwers subreddit. Cool yo-yo. Good job, guys. Thumbs up. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. I do yo-yo content every day. I'm going to be on vacation. You're probably still going to get something almost every day next week. That's how much I care and how far ahead I'm trying to get. So, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.